Are we live?
We are. Whoa.
Let me close that
Hello,
screen out.
everybody.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, that's more like it. That's how every podcast should start, with a little bit of awkward introduction. And I know
Absolutely.
Rogan pretty much made that famous, right? He just kind of jumps into. There's really no introduction. They're just already chatting. Jamie, go ahead, go live. Huh? I don't know. Or just they click live and they're in the middle of a chat. But
Well, yeah, we got stuck there because it wouldn't let us go live for some reason because one of the Facebook pages wasn't. That's been out of sync for a while. But anyway, here we are. Welcome. It is June 20th, Tuesday, the day after Juneteenth. Here we are, live from the Milky Way galaxy, Middle Tennessee in Louisville. Blake Walley, Brian Engelman, here to talk about the latest news and current events. Welcome.
absolutely. Thank you, Blake. That was great. Yes, today's topics are going to be discussing the Durham revelations. Once he speaks in front of Congress, will arrests be imminent? Does SBX deserve having charges dropped? That doctor, RFK, Joe Rogan, should we be allowed to, I don't know, have more debates and more different points of views for charity and for sport? And for the health of our nation, for that matter. Would you agree or disagree? Hunter Biden, just does he deserve the FTX treatment? Does he see? I wrote SBX. I probably said that earlier, didn't I? It's FTX. I'm thinking Sam Bankman Fried. Anyway,
SBF, FTX. There
yes,
you go.
FTX.
Perfect.
SBX was our student bookstore when I was in college. I think my brain just keeps saying that. But yeah, should we have more conversation or should we have less? Yeah, I think you know where we're going to land on that one. Does the resident actually know what year this is? I don't know. Does his rascally kid deserve special treatment? I don't know. What kind of treatment does Andrew Tate deserve? Should he just be destroyed as well for wrongthink? And is it possible that there's another Zapruder film floating around out there? Hello, Jocelyn. Hello, everybody in the comments section. I appreciate you joining us today, Blake. Let's jump right into today's show. By the way, I was thinking we should have if you could make a let's say a 10-second agree to disagree intro, like a really quick one, because I think an hour, like a minute and a half is cool, but I don't know that it translates on the Spotify. 90 seconds of silence just listening to some music. So maybe
right, Brian, that's where you can jump in and record your own little thing and get a little piece of bumper music, which I've got a library full. I'm sure you can use one of yours. I can certainly give you a template, but
you'll have to show me how to rip video off of video that's playing. I'm not really sure how to do that. I know how to record it and then upload it. I don't do stuff after the fact. I don't know how to grab it. But anyway, we're not going to play the intro for that reason. I know we just talked for 180 seconds about the intro, which kind of doubles the 90 seconds that we could have just played the intro with. But I digress. It was just an idea that I had stream of consciousness, Blake. All right, let's go to today's first topic, shall we? Blake, would you agree or disagree that it's time for Republicans to make arrests after the Durham revelations? He's set to speak to Congress this week. And is it time for arrests, or, should we pontificate a little bit more, go on some more fact-finding missions, and I don't know, maybe just sit back while the Democrats run over everybody? What do you think?
Well, I guess technically it's going to depend on what kind of information they're able to pull. I guess there's going to be a closed door meeting, and then they're going to go with a public hearing. So based on that, maybe a little pre-trial, and we'll find out. But there could be some intriguing, answers to some of the questions, depending on what they're trying to go after. But yeah, it's time for, as much as it's a tough talk, as we can praise a Ted Cruz or a Josh Hawley or a Rand Paul or whoever, fill in your favorite congressional people, or Jim Jordan. It's time for an actual arrest. It's time for get to the next tier, but we'll go on that. But I will pull up, I do have an article talking about some of the hypothetical questions they could ask and should ask. And if they don't, they should definitely find this article I pulled up out of Just the News from John Solomon. Wasn't he one of the ones that got some of the access to the J6 footage, I do believe?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
100%, but let's pull this one up here. So, after years behind closed doors, John Durham confronts Congress, and here are 8 questions he may face. So, after years working with grand juries, mostly in private, Special Counsel John Durham will step this week into the political arena to face lawmakers and address questions that weren't answered by his final report that definitively concluded the FBI opened its Russian collusion investigation of Trump during the 2016 election without any evidence of wrongdoing. So he's going to be behind closed doors. That would be today, Tuesday, in front of the House Intelligence Committee. And then he's going to step into the public limelight tomorrow, Wednesday morning, in an open hearing before the House Judiciary Committee with Chairman Jim Jordan playing a major role, who's behind all of this.
You know what? I think it's interesting how that was framed. I believe you said that the investigation was opened up without any evidence of wrongdoing. Is that something like how you phrased that? That the investigation was opened up without evidence.
Right, exactly. It was completely manufactured. They didn't have a reason, like, organically to do this on their own.
See, I think we need to be very, very clear here, because there's 2 ways an average American who might not be following this story could interpret what was just said through that article, how it was written and how it was presented. Okay, so there's something known as a fishing expedition. You think something is somewhere. It's a reason you'll get a warrant. You'll get a warrant, and it's like, I think something is over there. I'd like to look inside of that thing. Okay, well, you suspect something and you'd like to go fishing. There's various ways this could happen. Many people have been accused of, the police dog alerted me to something. It's like, no, it didn't. You're making that up. You wrote that on a piece of paper. That didn't happen. You wanted to fish, so you went in there and you started fishing. But this is even different, Blake. This is very different than just a simple fishing expedition, which would be bullshit and constitutionally protected and against the law for them to do, which they did. This is way worse. This is knowing that the information being used to justify the fishing expedition is bullshit. They knew it from the beginning. Everybody knew it. It was a setup. It was a frame job from day one, and they knew it. It wasn't just they wanted to look and see, they had a suspicion that something was going on. They knew that what they were presenting to get the FISA warrants, to spy on the campaign, to take the campaign out with election interference, they knew that it was completely fabricated by Perkins Coie, by the Democrat Party, by Hillary Clinton. They knew it. It wasn't just they had a hunch and wanted to go fishing. They lied about the reasons to get the warrants to go dig around and start their expedition. I think that's so important to make that distinction, Blake. Do you think
right.
does that difference make all that much of a difference?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it is said in some of these 8 questions that they're talking about of what could be being asked as we speak right now. So here are, that were not fully addressed in the report that lawmakers are likely to ask this week. So why were more senior officials like FBI Director James Comey, as Deputy Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, and others not charged with any crimes, and was a conspiracy case ever considered? And why were many of the key players not even interviewed by Durham's team? All have denied wrongdoing. So that would have been great for Durham to at least interview Comey. And he should have interviewed all 3 of those, because those were all major people close to this that all knew what was going on. So perhaps he's kind of protecting some of his own, but he's trying to do this investigation meanwhile, even though it seemed to drag on forever. So, and then we continue. Number 2, did former House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, former CIA Director John Brennan, and other top intelligence officials make false statements furthering the public narrative that Trump was a Russian stooge when they knew there was no evidence of collusion? So that kind of ties into your question, Brian. What did they know? When did they know it? And it seems like they've manufactured this whole thing. And yes, as you said, went on a big fishing exposition, trying to hope that they would find something that they could stick on Trump to Russia and get away with all of this illegal activity of spying on his campaign and smearing him and, riling up a world superpower in a massive conspiracy. Pretty dangerous stuff.
This was all designed to destroy an entire presidential term, to kneecap the duly elected president of the United States from within. I mean, if this isn't treason at the highest high crimes and misdemeanors that we've ever seen, this is the biggest political scandal in American history, bar none. Yeah. Watergate, nothing. What's that line from Princess Bride? He's like, ever hear of Aristotle? Imbeciles, or something like that. I forget what the line is, but he leads those up there and just kind of makes fun of him. It's like, Watergate, that's nothing. Inconceivable. This is a million times. What do they say? This is 9/11 times a million or something. I don't know. There've been hyperbolic statements made along those lines, but this is the biggest political scandal in American history, and the intelligence agencies participating in the coup, the overthrow of the duly elected president of the United States, to kneecap his administration, to try to threaten him with charges, to lie about him every day so they could tank the agenda that the American people voted into that office. I mean, this is the most shocking betrayal from the intelligence agencies that, I mean, what, since JFK? And even then, they've lied about JFK. We'll get to more JFK stuff in a little bit, because rumor has it there may be more Zapruder film footage. That's a little teaser. We'll get to that. But yeah, Blake, this is incredibly wild. I guess the question is, with John Durham, he's done this report. He's worked in the background, put an investigation together. It's taken 4 years to get here, as Jocelyn points out. And so now what? What can Congress do? To tease another story, we talked about Adam Schiff and his censure, that there were 20 Republicans who felt like that they didn't have the ability to do the thing that a lot of people are saying they definitely had the ability to do. What comes next? What can Congress do based upon the information that comes out? Can they press charges? Is it the Department of Justice? Like, what role can Congress actually participate in to drop the hammer on Obama, on Clinton, on the deep state, on Fusion GPS, on Perkins Coie, on Hillary Clinton, on Joe Biden, the whole crime partnership over here? Like what can they do?
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people were hoping Durham would, outline all that stuff and what we'd need to do next. But I don't think he wants to go after his people, his kind of coworkers or associates. He'll let other people do that. He's just putting out the report, and he didn't even interview some of these other people. So it will continue with an investigation. They should really do some subpoenas, run the investigation, and make arrests if necessary. And it looks like with all of this damning stuff, they have to, especially when they're targeting the other side. When they're targeting Trump and his supporters, it's either us or them, and they're the ones that are doing things that are 1,000 times worse than anything Trump or his family did. So,
well, I guess I have a little bit of concern that Ron DeSantis supporter Thomas Massie, who voted against censuring Adam Schiff. I mean, what would convince somebody like Thomas Massie, the Ron DeSantis supporter, to actually, push forward with charges? He doesn't seem to think that there's a role for Congress to levy out any sort of penalties. And these 20 Republicans that held up any sort of teeth. We'll get to the update on that coming up here. But
yeah, there's an update on that. So let's hold on. Yeah, we did cover that last week too. So he was really, stopped by the. There was a special clause in that he was deemed unconstitutional for good reason.
I think he stopped himself. I think
come on. All right, we'll get to that. Hold on. Okay, we'll get to that story here in a minute. Let's put that on ice. and then we'll
everything connects to everything else. That's the toughest part with trying to figure out what story comes next here, because we could go segues.
Well,
any
it
number
ties
of
in.
ways.
I mean, we're talking about Adam Schiff. If you just want to do a quick word on that, and we want to cover that, we can tie it back in. I don't care. It is,
yeah, let's go ahead and do that about Adam Schiff's censure. We'll jump to that story. Wait, was there anything in that first part of the story about Durham we wanted to wrap up before we move on? I guess we'll have more to talk about once he talks and gives us more information.
Right.
But was there anything else we wanted to
Well,
mention?
there's just 8 hypotheticals. Yeah, why don't I just do this? So, did Durham find any evidence that the U.S. or allied country officials began investigating or crafting the Russian collusion narrative before the FBI's official start of Crossfire Hurricane? So, according to one of these, is an academic, I think that this has been started as early as spring 2016, that this was starting to build. So this was all in the works. So it has been confirmed that Brennan briefed President Obama in July 2016 that the U.S. intelligence was aware of an alleged plot approved by Hillary Clinton to craft the Trump-Russia collusion narrative as a way of distracting from her classified email scandal. So they want to know, when did the U.S., how did the spy agencies learn this, and what evidence did they gather? So did the Obama administration, this is number 5, or the FBI or any U.S. spy agencies ask foreign countries to assist in spying on Donald Trump's campaign? That would be huge. Number 6, did Durham find any evidence or intelligence that disputes the Obama administration's intelligence assessment that Russia interfered in the election? 7, what role did President Joe Biden have in furthering the false Russian collusion narrative? Number 8, what additional reforms are needed to ensure FBI and intelligence community don't politically meddle in future elections like they did in 2016? So that wraps up those 8 hypothetical questions that could be actually have all been answered behind closed doors, and we'll find out tomorrow what comes out of it, and then what comes next with this.
You know, they ask, they posit there in that article, I believe it was the 8th or right at the end there, what about future elections and what role, if any, and how can you prevent and safeguard in the future this from happening? Well, all they've done is outsource it. Now they have Alvin Bragg doing something in New York. It's lawfare. No, okay, so we'll try to do something in Georgia, because president called and said, hey, find the evidence of the voting fraud, find it so we can present it. Yeah, that of course somebody's going to say that. They're trying to get him in DC. They want to charge him with things related to the January 6th situation, where Pelosi was in charge of security and deep state operatives opened doors and guided people around and removed barricades, and in many cases allegedly participated in the violence that they tried to turn around and blame on President Trump, while President Trump is out there at the speech saying to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard, and then calling for peace as things were starting to get out of hand. So, I mean, all they're doing is outsourcing what the deep state did last election cycle. They're just, all right, now you do it, DC, you do it, New York, you do it, Georgia. That it's the same thing that's happening. They're trying to wrap them up that way. It's the same tired routine, Blake.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see this happen and unfold in real time, and we'll see what comes out of it. Now, if we want to move over here to, since we're on the subject of Adam Schiff, who was one of the big spreaders of this obviously BS story,
or we could call it a coup attempt to frame the sitting president of the United States. Like, let's just call it what it is. They tried to impeach him and remove him from office based on false information and lies. That's treason.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So there's some people that should be tried for treason. It's not going to be fun. Some very powerful people at the highest levels, and including this one, Adam Schiff, who's so it's going to be a second chance to censure him after it failed last week. So There was a public rebuke from colleagues. A bunch of Republicans voted with Democrats to table the resolution. Somebody's going to face judgment again. So she's spent most of basically 2017 to 2020 repeatedly abusing his position to lie to the American people about supposed evidence in the Russian collusion hoax against Trump. So they voted for the censure. It just missed last week on a vote of 225 to 196. 7 abstained. This was put out by Anna Paulina Luna.
How do you abstain?
Well, again, Brian, we covered this Thursday, and we have a love-hate relationship with Thomas Massie, but the main reason for it, because of the language of the resolution, it's completely unconstitutional, is because they were the sticking point was including a fine of $16 million for Schiff. He called that half the estimated cost of the special counsel investigation into the Russian collusion hoax. So that was unconstitutional to levy these fines. You can't do that. You can vote for the censorship, but you can't vote for that punishment too. That comes afterwards. So they were just saying this. Right.
That's debatable.
No, it's not debatable. It's constitutional. So if there was a constitutional amendment against the self-defeating unnecessary overreach, it would violate that. But it was a complex thing, and then they changed it because that's not the way it's supposed to run. And so they stopped, and they said, no, you can't put the $16 million fine. So if they just want to censure it, he's all for it. So now we'll see what Thomas Massie does. Because if they take that fine out, yeah, certainly go after him and then sue him, then sentence him. So that's what's going to happen here, as far as I can tell. So,
well, Jocelyn is adding here. For some reason, I can't pull up her chat to put it on the screen, but she's saying, and yet Pelosi wasn't censured for fining those in Congress who didn't wear a mask on the House floor, even after finding out that masks do not stop something as small as COVID that passes right through these types of masks, even a perfectly fitted.
Well, that's what happened to Thomas Massie. That's exactly what happened to him. So, and actually, Thomas Massie right here actually thanked Anna Paulina Luna for fixing the bill for next week. He wants to censure Schiff. Don't get me wrong. So Massie, who was still battling former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi over a fine she imposed on him for refusing to wear a mask on the House floor during the COVID-19, argued that the fine included in Luna's original resolution was a violation of both the 27th Amendment, which governs compensation for members of the House and Senate, and the 8th Amendment, which prohibits cruel and unusual punishment.
All right, pause right there. Adam Schiff became immensely wealthy while trying to push his fraud against the sitting president, Donald Trump, and the American people. He became vastly wealthy. It's not cruel and unusual to take 16 million of what did we say he was worth the last time? 30, 40, 50
of course
million?
it is, Brian. So I get that.
Blake, let me finish my thought.
Yes. Okay.
That's not cruel and unusual. And the 27th that you mentioned, that's about the compensation for your annual salary so that a sitting congressperson can't vote a higher wage. They can vote a higher wage, but it only kicks in the next term of the member of Congress. This has nothing to do with a censure. This is smoke and mirrors. These are different subjects being convoluted together so that Massie wouldn't have the teeth to go after him. If Pelosi's doing it, it's a misinterpretation, perhaps. There are people out there that are saying this is a gross misinterpretation and curious as to how 20 people could let Schiff get away with it. But they're going to try their own thing now.
Because of that $16 million fine. They can't put that in there. That's against the Constitution. You can't just fine a congressperson like that.
And that's not what Pelosi did, fining congresspeople?
Well, she did, and that's why that's part of the reason why he's saying no. You can't do that, Nancy. There's nothing. That would contradict everything he's standing for if he's going to let Nancy do that to him, and then they're going to do that to Schiff. She should never have done that in the first place.
Do it right? Pelosi did do that.
Yeah, to him, and I think that's still he's fighting that.
So why not make them fight? Why not make Schiff fight and say that's unconstitutional?
Because they're the ones that are unconstitutional doing that. She can't fine him for that. You can't
That's
let
not
that
what the
precedent.
20
You
that's
can't
not
let
what the
that
27
precedent go
says, though.
through. No, you can't allow that precedent. So all they got to do is wait a week, Brian, to send. They can do the censure, but they can't put the $16 million fine on it. That's all they're saying. And he's saying, "Good. I'm glad you pulled that out because now we can finally censure him."
When is that vote?
This is this week. Is it this
It's gonna be
week
a
or
big
next
week.
week? Yeah.
It's a big week, and we need it. I mean,
Here's the tweet right here. Thomas Massey, thank you for fixing your bill for next week. That's from June 14th, so it must be this week. Censure Schiff round 2. Take the fine out of there and then just censure him. Don't put the fine on. That just ruined it. It was like a poison pill. So those 20 people should have taken that part out. And then let's censure him, and then let's sue the shit out of him and have him, arrested and tried for treason. I'm down to have him, pay the fine. You just can't do them both at the same time.
I think some of that's a matter of interpretation. And
no, Brian, you open that door, and then you're going to have the Congress people just fining each other on the floor and throwing it in. It starts to really fundamentally change the way our country is built. You just don't do that. So it never should have been added there in the first place. And then they made Massey out to be the bad guy because he's trying to be a principled constitutional goal.
And so Pelosi's fine. That got thrown out.
No, that's awful. No. And he's saying, let's not do that. That's not what you're supposed to do. She can't do that. So why would he all of a sudden go,
but Thomas Massey is not a court of law. He's not a judge. That's his opinion. That's his interpretation. Pelosi did it, setting a precedent. If anybody deserves to get
because that shouldn't be the
biggest fine of all time, it's Adam Schiff.
He shouldn't do that, and that he's not going to do the same thing. Otherwise, that's called being principled. So why are you going to let an unconstitutional move like that and just be like, well, okay, we'll just keep it then because Nancy started it, so now let's just no. That's just it's bad.
I think what's also bad is the Republicans constantly getting punched in the nose and not doing anything about it. Yeah, that's also really bad.
Right, but you're going to go from higher ground and be principled with the Constitution and do it the right way. So they're going to do it the right way. You want your censorship right. You just can't add a $16 million fine on top of it. Otherwise, that's just gonna. Where does it end? How do you draw the line from that?
Well, let's draw the line from that subject. Once again, they're going to have another vote. We'll be able to update it once we take a new tally.
Well, unless he doesn't vote to censure, then we can grill him all day. I don't care.
I
don't know why you're okay with that.
I am leery of any and all Ron DeSantis supporters at this time. So we'll see how it plays out. So
that's why you're okay. Yeah. Well, I thought you liked Thomas Massey a couple of weeks ago. He was
I
love it. Kentucky is so great. We got all the great.
I don't understand.
Oh, he likes Ronnie D. Oh, I'm just gonna. Now you hate him.
No, I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand it.
Right.
I hear your perspective. I hear your interpretation. I hear what Massey said. I hear his interpretation. We'll see how they rework it. We'll get an update after that. But while we're talking about fair and we're talking about punishment, Blake, there's a good segue right there into our next subject. This is Hunter Biden. Yes, Hunter Biden. It's almost like the Department of Justice and the deep state. They will bend over backwards to make it easy for some people to just, I don't know, make their private server in their what was it? Was it a bathroom closet or a hall closet?
Yeah, hall closet
in a condo somewhere that's being accessed by foreign powers, doing the Uranium One deal. It's like kids are gonna be kids. Just kids are gonna be kids. To just wipe some of those things away. And then to go after Trump and to take misdemeanors and turn them into felonies like they did in New York, and to just go bonkers with raiding Mar-a-Lago and then trying to charging Trump with what is it? Not treason, not conspiracy. What's the word? Not aiding and abetting the enemy. What's the phrase? I'm losing here. Espionage Act.
The Espionage Act. All right.
I mean, you got to be off your rocker. So anyway. They're bending over backwards again to let this guy off the hook. This is Hunter Biden. What's the latest here? He's getting let off the hook as even easier than Adam Schiff is, perhaps. We'll see how it goes this week. But What is happening
Whoa,
here?
whoa, whoa!
I said perhaps we'll wait and see.
He can get fined so much more than 16 million. I don't know why this has to be a thing. I don't know why it's become such an issue. It's not like it's going away. It's still there. They're just tweaking a little part of it. It's like you have a negotiation and you go, oh, wait, you can't do it. Technically, you really can't do it that way. Can you just remove that part and then do it again? That's it. Wait a week. Okay, cool. No, everybody's, how can Massey? Like, okay, come on now. So I don't know. I don't know where I stand on this. But yes, I mean, we do. I'm 100% with throwing Schiff away. He needs to be fined a lot more than that. And then they need to try him for treason.
Yes.
And that might be the death penalty. And I don't care.
I mean, he's
got to face that. He is just what he has done to this country is unforgivable. There is a penalty for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, take all of his money and throw him in a dungeon for all I care. But you can't put the 16 million on the censure. That's it. So anyway.
So back to Hunter Biden. I'd already moved off.
Back to Hunter Biden. Let's see. Yes, he is getting away with some major
golden
stuff
child.
Here. So let's try to.
He's the smartest man Joe Biden knows.
Certainly. Well, yeah, he's gotten out of some potential felonies that he's gotten to down to misdemeanors. So Hunter Biden agreeing to plead guilty to multiple criminal charges. However, it's just 2 misdemeanors and 1 gun charge, basically a slap on the wrist. So it was a 5-year investigation just for a couple of misdemeanors. It's just totally ridiculous. So that's what this is a breaking story. Anyhow, let's see. I can pull up this CNN video since that's something
some breaking news coming in. John, let me get over to you.
Brian,
all right, Kate, thanks so much. The breaking news is this: a major development in the federal investigation into Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden. Let's get right to Kara Scannell for details on this. Kara, I understand there is a plea agreement. What have you learned?
Yeah, John, this 5-year-long investigation now coming to a head. We have learned from new court filings at the U.S. District Court here in Wilmington, Delaware, that Hunter Biden has agreed to plead guilty to multiple criminal charges. I'm going to walk you through this. One of these charges involves, these are 2 counts of failing to file tax returns in a timely fashion. Those are misdemeanors. He's also going to plead guilty to a charge of a firearm offense. This is the possession of a firearm while you are addicted to a controlled substance. Now, the firearm offense is going to be averted. And what that means is that if he meets certain conditions, that charge will go away. This will be over a set period of time. Otherwise, it's the tax misdemeanor charges that he has been charged with.
Now, it's hard for me to wrap my head around something like this. How does the son of the VP, with all of the resources,
the former
in DC, all the federal government, how do you not do your taxes? Wouldn't you just have people that are like on the payroll that will do that for you? I don't understand how they would think that's okay. Blake, your dad's running for president. He was the VP.
Blake, we're talking, but you got to understand, you don't have to trust a person, but you can trust the drug. We're talking about a crackhead here. You know, he's railing hookers and filming it. He drops off his laptop at a shop and doesn't pay for it. And the deal in the contract is that becomes property of the shop owner, and it's riddled with criminal activity in there. Stuff that could easily turn into blackmail fodder for foreign nations if you weren't already on the take from said foreign nations, which you are. So it couldn't be more clear that these 3 things they just referenced are the insignificant parts of what exists in the guilty checklist of Hunter Biden. There's a mountain of evidence here, and all they did was cherry pick the little ones, and then they're gonna make it go away as quickly and painlessly as possible. I mean, at least they're gonna try to. Yeah, no big deal. We're only I don't know, at least allegedly $10 million blackmailed from Ukraine in a massive money laundering scheme to drive us head first into a potential World War III, a nuclear World War III, an undeclared nuclear war. By the way, when President Trump brought up, when Biden publicly bragged about having the chief investigator removed by withholding, what was it, $1.5 billion in aid?
Yeah, 1 billion.
When Trump inquired about that, he was impeached by the Democrats for trying to expose their criminal activity. Everything they do deflects. And I'm waiting for some sort of semblance of sanity here. This is I don't know how much more obvious criminal activity could be, but this has got to be at the top of the list. And the potential repercussions as we're sending tanks and planes and really trying to push for an all-out offensive campaign against Russia. I'm having a hard time understanding where is the teeth. I guess, that's the theme of this. Where's the teeth? A strongly worded letter, or I don't know, an arrest. I mean, the Hunter's just going to get off here. He's going to get off relatively scot-free, Blake.
Yeah, this is a double standard here, which is part of what this article is getting into, the two-tiered justice system. Department of Justice gave serial criminal and pervert Hunter Biden a slap on the wrist after committing major international financial crimes, and then Trump gets 100 years for bogus document charges. Now, I'm not saying it's all bogus or that maybe he shouldn't have done that, or maybe he shouldn't get a slap on the wrist, but you can't have this basically this double standard. You have to apply things equally, but it's not. And now you've got, the Bidens can get away with everything, even though there's blatant, criminality that we can all see, and they get away with stuff. Meanwhile, they throw the book at Trump for everything. So it's bad. This is, Banana Republic stuff. So you've got, powerful families going after each other. Except one's really connected in with the deep state and has the whole Justice Department on their side, and they're able to do this stuff, and it's sickening. So what are you going to do with that?
Well, we will keep an eye on it because this is relatively new information. We're going to unpack some of this in the days to come. And look, it doesn't mean that something can't be vacated. It doesn't mean that this. Let's hope that there's real charges coming down the road. It's whatever these three little slaps on the wrist are for three piddly things. That's nothing compared to what's really going on. So we shall see about that. But let's
the Second Amendment thing. I don't even have really much of an issue with, or the gun charge, because they're saying you can't own a gun with the drug laws. It would have been so here, let's take a look at our friend Ford Fisher. He put this thread together with Hunter Biden reportedly expected to be charged and plead guilty to his misdemeanor tax crimes as part of the plea deal. So he faced charges for being an illegal drug user in possession of a firearm, generally a 10-year felony. But I don't know how what are you supposed to do? That's kind of a strange law, because, I mean, what if you're sober, you buy a firearm, and then a few years later you start doing illegal drugs? What are you supposed to do? Turn in your firearms? That doesn't even make any sense. So I don't know how they charge a 10-year felony for something like that. Or even if you're even if you are an illegal drug user, you're not allowed to buy a firearm. But wait, it's probably okay for you to have legal drugs of alcohol, which is probably 100 times more dangerous than any of the other drugs when it comes to crime and firearms. So that's a strange one. I don't care. Drop that one. I'm not a tax expert, but when you're doing a 5-year investigation and we know he's doing some shady business dealings, there's got to be a lot more going on there. And that's what I'm concerned about.
What about his paintings? That
could be laundering.
Money laundering through book deals, money laundering through paintings. I mean, it's a tale as old as time here. Like there's a million pieces of information here, and we're fixating on a couple of these finer points. I agree, though. I think the NRA needs to do more to get some sort of nationwide as we push for constitutional carry and concealed carry reciprocity. There needs to be something on a federal level to just kind of revamp what is going on with that provision. I mean, the provision makes sense to a certain degree, but to another degree, if the Second Amendment said you have the right, the blah, blah, blah shall not be infringed unless you consume XYZ. It didn't say that. It didn't put that in there. It just said shall not be infringed. So to have these caveats, yeah. And like you said, what is a substance that you can't have? What, like, how far down the rabbit hole do you go to kind of get a definition on that? Okay, well, alcohol is legal, but I mean, it doesn't take a genius to compare 100 people that have a little bit too much of one substance versus alcohol to see how people normally react. And, just there's discrepancies, there's inconsistencies there in trying to enforce some of that. You're right to call that one particular part out. And that does need to be cleaned up. It needs to be cleared up probably pretty quick. It's doesn't feel like a pressing issue, but it kind of should be, because they're always looking for back doors to try to mess around with people. So, that's a great place to start, Blake. But okay, let's make a pivot here and discuss the next topic, shall we?
Right.
All right. So this was kind of the topic of the day, and it's still raging strong, Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it's raging strong. It's just continuing and continuing. It will not go away. I did just see Luke Radowski had his YouTube channel completely demonetized because he played a couple of seconds of this. And I'm so tired of this. This is why I've bailed on YouTube. It's why Facebook, Meta, Instagram, it's like they can all go to hell. You can all go to hell. You should be able to criticize, critique, have conversations, debate over every single topic under the sun. That's it. That's what America is. And there's supposed to be an open discourse of ideas. The agree to disagree show. If you go and you find an issue with somebody and you're having a talk and we're not getting anywhere, we keep doubling down, we're getting angry and frustrated, you agree to disagree, you press pause on that issue and change the topic, move along. That's the point of the agree to disagree show. And that's the point of America. So can you catch us up on what this conversation is, this Dr. Peter, RFK, Rogan, what happened, how it evolved, and where are we today? What is the latest in this new saga that we need to have, and we need to have it in public because science must always be openly debated in the court of public opinion, outdoors, vocally, without fear of retribution.
Right. So RFK Jr. was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And they were talking about vaccine efficacy. And Dr. Peter Hotez's name was brought up in there because RFK asked about debating him for a while. And that became an interesting point for Joe to discuss. And then after the show, they decided to call it out and saying, hey, let me put $100,000 up for charity. Because this doctor has been on Joe Rogan's show at least once. So he's familiar with both of these men. They have different points of view on, with COVID or just vaccines in general. And it would be interesting to see these two guys debate. One is running for president, obviously, part of the Kennedy family. Seems like environmental lawyer who knows a heck of a lot about vaccines. Smart guy going against this guy, Peter Hotez, who's who's been in the industry for a long time. And he's people think he's a big pharma shill for many good reasons. And he's been out promoting the vaccine, made numerous appearances. He's kind of one of the go-to guys when the what's left of the legacy media is trying to gain credibility and to encourage the people to get the vaccine. So this guy Hotez, yes, who's written a few books, also has a daughter who's has autism, who swears, it's definitely not caused by the vaccines, even though he basically pumped her with every vaccine imaginable, and but still can't find any connection. Well, I wouldn't blame him there. It's kind of terrifying that way, but there are problems with that. Not infallible. They have issues, but there's a lot of money in them. And so that became a topic. He got called out, and other people started, wanting to donate money to this charity as well. They want to see this debate between these guys, and Joe Rogan offered to moderate it. But then there was a huge uproar, and to say no, and they've dodged it. And I don't know, it might be up to two. It was started at 100,000, and then it quickly went over 1 million. It might be pushing 2 million now. I don't know if they're still counting anymore. But Dr. Peter has refused to accept the challenge, and instead he just showed up on this propagandist network with MSNBC and Mehdi Hassan, who's a shameless propagandist. So that didn't really help anything, but it's comfortable territory for him. But and then Elon Musk threw in as well, and so a lot of the people were mad at him, the leftists, freaking out, and they don't want to debate, and they're just saying, "Oh, don't even give these conspiracy theorists any time of day." But I kind of think that they're afraid to debate, much like Elon has set out, because they know they can't win. They're not in a good position, or they would take it. And science should be debated. This is a very important topic concerning the whole planet. Really, that should know whether what happened with the COVID vaccines.
Science should be debated every single day, Blake. Every single day. And that's
the way it used to be. That's the way it's always been. But now there's so much money in it, and there's so much at stake. If Peter Hotez goes on that show and gets made a fool of by the RFK, I mean, it's just it'd be catastrophic for the pharmaceutical industry, and it'd be catastrophic for the Biden administration, especially for his reelection chances if RFK gains all that credibility. So if he gets prominent and destroys Peter in the debate, it's bad. So they have a lot to lose, even though it'd be great to raise a couple million for charity. But they're just going to try to make excuses like they won't get a fair chance, or that it's helpful for the conspiracy theorists, or helpful for the crazy people, or however they frame it. And I think a lot of people are scared that they're going to realize that there were a lot of side effects, and perhaps it might be compromising people's immune systems. There were a lot of adverse effects, and including possibly deaths. So it's a very uncomfortable topic for them. So I know they don't want to lose this one. So they're just trying to avoid it. But that's not really helping anything.
I mean, diabetes is a major cause of death, but certain food and beverage brands are allowed to advertise. You can sell beer and alcohol, and how many people have drank themselves into an early grave. You can definitely advertise all sorts of stuff that might not be helpful, might not be beneficial. There's pros and cons. Look at the automobile industry, Blake. Like, yes, transportation's fantastic, but let's count up the number of people that are maimed or killed every single year by using automobiles. It's a number. There are vaccines that help people, and there are vaccines that have side effects, and maybe every vaccine has side effects. And maybe the number of people helped might be much larger than the number of people who are harmed. Maybe it's even. Maybe it's flip-flopped upside down. Either way, you debate this openly every single day. And I don't know if you have a video pulled up here, but if you press play, it will zap our channel. So we're not even allowed to press play on this one, Blake. You know that. Oh,
not even subjectively to just cover a news
item? That's what got Luke Rudowski zapped. He played a couple of seconds of the video, and they zapped it. So we can't. This is why YouTube is trash. This is why Facebook, Meta, Instagram is trash. This is why podcasts and Twitter appear to be, maybe the Telegram, Truth Social, are the only places where spending your time. Rumble. These lying legacy media gatekeepers have crossed they've the last straw, my last nerve, whatever topic, whatever I want to say here. I'm done with them, dude. Just totally done with them. They are awful. They're anti-American. We have guidelines in this country. We're supposed to be able to have debate about topics. And if there's anti-American companies that are operating here, where's the ACLU to take them to court to allow free and open discourse of ideas? There's no criminal activity here in trying to discuss and debate what's positive, what's negative, what's helpful, what's harmful, looking at data. No, what about my data? No, my data's peer reviewed. No, your data's not peer reviewed. You debate it every single day. And anybody that's going to try to shut that down is an enemy of the American people. That's Google, YouTube, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, and anybody else that wants to get in here and try to take people's right to earning money by creating content away from them because they dare and dispute. They dare and pontificate and discuss this stuff openly out loud. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. People are allowed to have opinions that you don't agree with. Their version of the flying spaghetti monster in the sky that they worship daily might be wildly different than you worshiping Satan or nobody or Allah. There are a million ways to live your life, and all of them should be allowed to be discussed openly. I don't know where the pharmaceutical industry gets off, where Google, YouTube gets off trying to shut people down and take their monetization, their ability to put food on the table and keep the electric on each month because they don't toe the line of what? Of a narrative that's been carefully crafted by a pharmaceutical lobby. It makes no damn sense, and I'm over it, Blake. This is not America.
Big money, Brian. Big money and very powerful people behind the scenes that are making that happen. YouTube was bought out by Google. All these social media companies have been infiltrated, and there's a lot of money at them. So they have to go. Just same with the ESG scores. These companies are putting in this woke ideology because they need to get their loans. They need to have good scores. So yes, it's money and corruption that is ruining everything.
Insanity, sir. Insanity. So how can we get more debates and more views for charity and sport? Is there any ideas on how we just take it to Rumble and Twitter? We just tell YouTube to piss off, and we tell Facebook, Meta, Instagram to piss off because they're never going to be open to common sense. Freedom or liberty.
We'll make our flow into the Rumbles, and people are gravitating out of YouTube and going towards different platforms. Well, it's not like a lot, but I'd say Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble, and are so far doing a good job. There's a couple of other alternatives I don't really use much. I don't even know if people are using Parler and Gab and all of those, but that's why there's a market for some of these alternatives, is because people they're not welcome anymore on YouTube or what have you. We can still kind of do a show, but they're not going to do us any favors. And I just got a second strike removed, and I've already had to deal with a few suspensions. I've pulled tons of videos. Certainly know how it goes when you cover this material that they don't want people knowing about or talking about. It'd be great to see these more debates.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's pivot off that and talk about another guy who's being censored heavily right now. What's up, Blake?
Right. Or just if you want to just do a quick thing. So, Brian, on this, I think it's a would you rather take your health advice from off of this? Would you rather take it from Dr. Peter Hotez, who does not exercise, eats junk food?
He's addicted to junk food.
Vaccines. Yep. And he looks like, something out of the Lord of the Rings movie.
I was going to say a hobbit. Yeah. Looks like a little trolley guy. And then, you got two fit people over on the other side. Yeah.
He's like 70. Yeah. And he's jacked. And Rogan's jacked. And it's amazing that they get smeared. They're taking horse dewormer, but you should take the experimental vaccines for your children because and Brian, you must have seen the video multiple times. It's been everywhere, and including here's another interesting thing that Peter Hotez he put out, that scientists on Twitter are heading for the exit. They don't want to debate. It's amazing. They should be willing to. they should want it. It's for the public good to want to have the truth out there. But now scientists, they're scared because they know they don't have the facts on their side. They know they're corrupted by big pharma interests. They don't want to be called out. And so now they're just going to leave. Yeah, there's this here's a great tweet here. Propagandists pretending to be scientists are fleeing from the public sphere now that people start asking them to prove their assertions and explain why they've been wrong about everything. That's one. This video is brilliant. That was put out by Matt Orifalea. I'm not probably pronouncing that right, but it's a friend of Matt Taibbi who does some really good videos here. And you've probably seen this Hotez video getting called out. It's got the Billy Mays, well produced, and then just showing how they've changed their mind on the vaccine. How at very first he said, to be skeptical, and then it was, oh yeah, get your dose, it's great, and then it was your third dose, your fourth, your fifth, and it's just going to be an annual booster. People are calling it out. They have not, made any move to say that this is incorrect information. They've done nothing about it. Yeah, it's Matt Orifalea. This is a fantastic video that everybody should have seen if you're on Twitter. We won't run it now, but you should definitely take.
By the way, that's a good time to Blake. If you haven't tweeted it out, or if you haven't tagged at American_media_, please do so and follow Blake on Twitter. He's at TV's Blake Walley, Walley. Check him out on thenextlevelnews.com as well. But make sure that's been tweeted out. Please tag me if you haven't already. But yeah. But wait, there's more. Billy Mays here. It's
yeah, absolutely. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there he is, the legend. May he rest in peace. Yep, we can't even play stuff like this, or else they'll.
Oh yeah. All right. There'll just be pictures.
Follow us on Twitter while you can. So go ahead and do that. Let's pivot off of the or do you have another? I see another story here.
There's all kinds of stuff because this was easily the biggest story of the weekend, and it was just nonstop and so many different angles, and it was great. Yeah, there's plenty of videos I could play, which I won't, which I was prepared to play, but yeah, we don't want to get any more trouble. I don't want to get that second strike again if they are going to do that, but I will share some of these resources. But people should just go find the interview there with RFK and on the Joe Rogan show. It certainly made waves, and he's a serious contender. It's really upsetting the establishment, and it's great to see. It's another article, The Real Peter Hotez and Scientism with the $, snake oil, lifelong campaign to sell vaccines. He's not been a very successful with some of his scientific endeavors, but that's okay. They still use them for their credibility. But even though he shouldn't, as we just pointed out, that he doesn't look like a pillar of health, and you probably should be skeptical of taking your advice from somebody like that. But they are freaking out, and they don't want to debate. And I'll stop there.
Okay. All right. Well, I check out the Twitter feeds for both of us, and leave your comments below. By the way, they did find, here's a story that we didn't have in the stack, but it's worth noting as we're talking about Twitter. A couple of days ago, they found a new hidden algorithm. I mean, they allegedly disconnected all the wires and rewired everything and had a really firm grasp of what Twitter's algorithms did and what they didn't do. And they found more dating back to 2012, where people have been, shadow banned, deranked, demonetized, what have you, all sorts of ways to shut people down. They just discovered another one. So it's interesting to find the updates as, just the extent of the throttling that the lying legacy media, especially the social media deep state, now that we're seeing that the CIA runs Twitter, or at least used to, and we know what Google, YouTube is doing over there. It's interesting to see that they still have, but I'm wondering, since that news came out a couple days ago, I'm wondering if that had been there all along, or if it had been recently added. But what they're discovering is that there was a back door, so someone could get in there and add something additional at any point. There's probably a bunch of on-ramps and off-ramps that they're unaware of. I'm curious how the technology shakes out and how the logistical components of that story play out. But yeah, it's just interesting to see the extent to which the social media companies really try to warp reality and try to make things go viral and try to really just kind of shove other things. Nobody puts baby in a corner. No. People put conservatives in a corner, libertarians in a corner, people that are not fans of the deep state. No, you live in the corner. You're not allowed. You sit at the kids' table. We'll let you know if you're allowed to come to the adults' table at some time in the future. They view themselves as gods amongst men, but they're not. And you need look no further than the fact that usually what they're promoting are lies. So, it seems pretty obvious to me. If you got to lie to get your point across and get your support there, I feel like you're on the wrong side of history. So, okay, couple of stories. I was trying to make the segue earlier, but you did have a couple stories pulled up. This one is about another guy who's suffering the wrath of the deep state, trying to be thrown down the memory hole. Here's our next topic. All right, so we are back to Mr. Andrew Tate. Like, you agree or disagree that he is being deliberately targeted by the deep state? Andrew Tate, deep state, that rhymes.
I don't think so. He's trying to make the claim that they are. I don't think it is. I think it's all completely self-inflicted. I've been vocal. I really don't like Andrew Tate very much, but I got to give some credit where it's due. He was the biggest contributor to this debate for Hotez, to be an RFK on Rogan. I think he offered up $500,000. Oh, so he does do some good things. To be fair, to be intellectually honest, he does motivate certain people. There's some good. He does put out some good in the world, but I kind of think of him as a dirtbag criminal type. And he's innocent until proven guilty. He's been held without charges for a long time. They did finally release him home. But now he's been charged for a bunch of different stuff. He has been officially indicted now. They weren't quite sure. He's got tons of videos where he does not help himself very much. And if people want to go look at that, they should definitely find Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, on YouTube. He's got probably a dozen videos on Andrew Tate, and I'm sure, about 99% sure, he'll have one probably sometime today, tomorrow at the very latest, to follow up on Andrew Tate, who he calls the gift that keeps on giving. He's an entertaining character. I find him repulsive. I can't stand him, but he does do some good. I know a lot of people like him, and I know a lot. He is said a lot of anti-establishment things, more recently, but I don't think he's really as big of a victim in that as much as he might think. So, but he hasn't been indicted in a Romanian human trafficking probe. Former kickboxing champion turned online influencer. Him and his brother, a lengthy criminal probe into alleged human trafficking and organized crime. So, the investigators from Romania's Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime alleged the brothers began a human trafficking effort in Romania and the United States and United Kingdom, where they allegedly recruited women using promises of marriage and love to convince them to come to Romania, whereupon they were allegedly sexually exploited and forced into doing pornography. So, yeah, there's definitely stuff and tons of videos that really make him look bad, and including ones where he was bragging about how he could basically get away with anything because he had so many passports, and that he could bribe anybody in Romania because it was such a corrupt country. He set up business operations in Romania basically because he could think he could get away with some of the shady things that he was involved in. And then he did call out Greta for the environmentalism, bragging about the emissions from his Bugatti and his exotic car collection. And he did get arrested soon after that. And then he said, the Matrix went after him. And that was what it is. So the establishment is going after him. And it could be rival crime people. It could be any number of things. We'll just have to find out as the trial goes forward what really happened. And if he's truly as innocent as he says he is, But I will, again, give him credit that he has done some very good things, including with this last debate there, offering all of that money to get to the truth about vaccines. So, Brian, I don't know if you followed the Tate brothers very much. But,
they just popped on my radar like they did for a lot of people. When did all this happen? A year ago? I feel like it's been nonstop Tate for a really long time, but maybe it's only been a year, half a year.
Yeah, probably 6 or 7 months since he called out what's her name? Yeah.
So here we are, right? Here we are. And I'm not familiar with him. I've seen, just like, I don't know. I'm sure there are super fans out there, but I'm not one of the super fans.
And his
Bugatti. I will say that. Huh? Go ahead.
No, I said you're not familiar with Top G and the Hustler University and his Bugatti. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm aware. I've seen videos and I've seen more videos and I've seen more videos. A couple make him look really douchey. A couple make him look potentially criminally culpable or potentially liable in some ways. Douchey and reckless in some ways. However, I've seen a lot of other videos that are pretty great. It's okay that somebody can be wrong on some things and right on some other things. So I've seen a lot of great clips of him saying great things. I mean, just because somebody is right about some things, they don't get a pass on the wrong things. And just because they're wrong on some things, it doesn't mean we get to ignore the things that are correct. People are a mixed bag. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this all shakes out. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look great. But yeah, I don't know if it's a product of the deep state or if it's because of Andrew Tate. There's a lot of rhyming in there if you didn't notice, but
yeah,
we'll see how it shakes out. Romanian human trafficking probe. Sure. Okay. Once again, it takes 5 years to investigate Hunter Biden. But you can hurry up and get this guy charged in Romania for what he's involved with. How many years has it been since Jeffrey Epstein didn't off himself? Where are we at with this? Not a single arrest. So, I mean, come on. Like this selective going after low hanging fruit and trumping up little things while ignoring some of the biggest situations on earth, like the Epstein scenario. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to make light of anything Tate's accused of doing. We'll see how it shakes out in court. I don't really tend to believe any accusation anymore. I just want to see facts. So we'll see.
Yeah. So it seems like he's, runs a lot of OnlyFans stuff in these girls' accounts, and he gets girls to fall in love, moves them to Romania where they're basically trapped. They're not allowed to leave. And they do, cam girl stuff. And the way he talks and the way he acts and the videos that he puts out, he seems to glorify his little, pimp hustler lifestyle. And it finally caught up to him. And they've confiscated, I guess, as Jocelyn saying, $380 million from the Tate brothers in cryptocurrency, cars, watches, buildings. It's they really took him. they were cleaning him up good. So he could be in a lot of trouble. So I'll wait for that Bruce Rivers video, but I hope he's allowed to do some good if he can. They should definitely take that money for him for the debates. Do some good things with him. They're just going to take all that money, and then who knows what they're going to do. So it's a corrupt country, and I don't know if they're just going to confiscate it. Are they going to give it to charity? I don't know how these things usually work, but I just kind of assume the governments are going to be enriching themselves, not necessarily going out to the victims, but we shall see. But again, there's a long process to be played out. And again, innocent till proven guilty, even though I can't stand the guy.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. All right. Final two stories here. This one's so interesting. More Zapruder film footage.
Ooh.
Yeah, now this is fascinating. This was a late addition to our stack, our news story list. Blake and I compile the news stories of the day and put them together. And this was a late arriving moment here. So tell us what's going on with this, because, you know, it kind of came out with Tucker that it was pretty obvious that the CIA was the one that offed our former president. And then they said, oh, we'll tell you in 55 years. And then they buried it again because it's still too, it would shock the American people to the core that they overthrew their own sitting president, as we're seeing it happen in real time again, perhaps. But what's going on with this? What story are we talking about here, Blake? Inform us.
Well, as two people that we cover quite a bit, couple of our favorites in a way, Ben Swann and your guy, Glenn Beck.
My guy.
Your guy.
You're both my guy. I've interviewed Ben Swann multiple times. I like Ben as well.
Yeah, Ben's a great guy. He's a real independent journalist. You know, there's been pros and cons with Glenn Beck, but he does a lot of good stuff too. And I think he's gotten better. It's been a very mixed bag over the years, but I'll give credit where it's due always. And this is a very interesting video that popped up from Glenn Beck that I found on Ben Swann's Twitter. And so we got to roll this one. It's only about a 1-minute video. So, but this
as long as they don't mention RFK. So yeah.
Nope, they do not. So this was pretty amazing. Check this one out.
Did you hear about the JFK stuff?
Oh, really?
What?
Really?
What happened?
Okay, fine. I'm going to reboot this. I'm going to try.
Jocelyn is saying JFK might have been killed for the UFO file.
There's many different. Yeah, there's a lot of people that wanted to kill him for a variety of things. So it could be the CIA, whether it's over the UFOs or the Federal Reserve military industrial complex, or getting us into the war. There was many reasons for them to want to conspire and to off him, and there might be another video. For a long time, it was just the Zapruder film that captured the assassination, allegedly from Oswald, from the I guess the 5th floor or the 6th floor of the library there. It's a very challenging shot if he was able to do it. Many people think there was a second gunman, and this could there could be some evidence of that after all these years. So let's try to run this again one more time. Here we go.
Hear about the JFK stuff? That there's another film.
Yeah.
And it was
another Zapruder film, essentially?
Yeah, except this film was taken in 1963, and then I think the archives had it, and then it was used when they opened up the panel again in the 1970s, because nobody believed the first panel. And they used that film, and they said, yeah, it looks like, quote, Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, and that 2 gunmen likely fired at him. That's a quote.
From who?
House Special Committee on Assassinations in 1978.
That saw this video, but we haven't seen this video.
We haven't seen this video. And now the family is trying to get the video back. Did you hear about the JFK stuff?
Okay.
Well then.
There you have it. So is it possible that the government has been holding on to this extra evidence all of these years because it would contradict their narrative that it was just done by a lone gunman?
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if all these lies just get exposed? Like it feels like people are putting all their fingers into the dam and it's crumbling, it's cracking, it's spider webbing out, and it's just finger after finger. And they're just trying so hard, like the Hillary Clintons of the world. Remember, like, I don't go anywhere without my hot sauce in my purse. It's like these old politicians used to go by these old rules pre-internet. They could put on these Southern drawls and get all fake as shit, trying to like impress people and their whistle stop tours across the country. They'd lie and tell Oklahoma what they wanted to hear. They'd come up to Illinois. They'd lie and tell Illinois what they want to hear. But with the internet, it holds everybody accountable now. Wouldn't it be awesome if all of these lies are exposed at the same time? From aliens to JFK to health and wellness, to political scandals, to bribery, corruption, treason, and beyond. God bless. Wouldn't it be awesome? A new renaissance, a new birth of America, if you will, a second, I don't know, a second phoenix rising from the ashes of just how bad things have gotten under the uniparty rule. Man, Blake, I would love to just have the real information here. If the deep state is going to off a sitting president, there's nothing they will not do domestically to all of us. So, I mean, you either fight to get this information or you choose to not fight while people are fighting you. I mean, you're just trying to get on the bus and find your seat and you're getting hit. You're walking down the aisle and people are punching you. Well, you know, at some point you got a bully coming after you. You got to stand up to yourself. You have to defend yourself. And if they're willing to off political figures, I mean, RFK, JFK, MLK, anybody with a K in their name. Good Lord, man. So I don't know. I mean, do you think this footage might be on its way out, which is why we're getting these drip pieces of additional information about JFK as RFK is emerging as a legitimate political candidate? It's going to be RFK against Gavin Newsom. It seems like there's no way Biden survives the political fallout or the health fallout or his record. I don't see it in any way. I was so surprised to hear him pretend that he's running for a second term. We'll see. They might try it, but it just seems like everything's coalescing, Blake. Am I putting too much into this or are you feeling it too?
I'm not holding my breath for that. I would love to see it. Yes, that would be a glorious day for you and I and Jocelyn and many others. But it would be a very rude awakening for a lot of people to realize that they've been lied to their whole lives about so many different things. But yes, overall, yes, it would be great for the truth to finally shine in after all these years of darkness. But yeah, I guess I can understand why they would try to hide this. So they were able to, pull these big high-level assassinations off back in the day. JFK, RFK, MLK, as you say. But
a lot of rhyming today.
Right. Oh, good one. Yes. Very good. But yeah, it'd be different if everybody on the grassy knoll had their own little cell phones and they were able to videotape. You wouldn't be able to pull something like that off. But they were able to get rid of a lot of witnesses that were like, yeah, I swear I heard a second shot on the grassy knoll. Like, oh, yeah, thank you for coming to us and trusting us with that information. And then, oh, no, looks like they died in a car accident along with so many others that were trying to report on what they thought happened. They wanted to pin this all on their Patsy Oswald, who may have had something to do with it. Maybe not. Maybe he was just the easy fall guy to blame for this. But people have suspected. It kind of reminds me of some old Bill Hicks footage when he's talking about the JFK assassination. And maybe that's how they kept presidents in line, was by showing them, different videotapes of the JFK assassination that nobody had seen before from different angles to say, hey, the deep state, we didn't use the word deep state, but guess who's really in charge? And you're just the front man. So they control things.
Do you remember what Chuck Schumer said recently?
Maybe not.
About the intelligence agencies. They have a million ways to get you to do what they want, and that Trump is stupid for going up against them. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he said they got 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you. That was years ago, yeah. But yeah, that was
pretty valid. Exactly what we're talking about.
Up to and including assassination. For sure. And, RFK is also, Junior has been saying that, he's not afraid. He's up there. He's already seen his father and uncle assassinated. So I really appreciate it. So I think I'm definitely going to, be a delegate or join in. We got to pile in the Democratic Party. But as you say, I don't know if they're going to be able to run Biden. And with RFK gaining, he's scaring the establishment bad. So they're going to have to run somebody, and Gavin might be their only chance or
Michelle Obama. That's the other one.
We'll see. She would definitely be popular enough. It's whether she's would want to go through that process, and I think of her as probably not wanting to be out front like that. You never know. If they're desperate enough and they need her, they might be able to do it.
Yeah, I think the story, some of the speculation is that Feinstein, I mean, they're rolling her around. I mean, look, we're doing a podcast, and if you're just listening to the audio on a podcast, this works. If this was just a radio show, I could justify what I'm about to say a little bit better because this is in video form on Rumble and YouTube and where else. But I mean, Feinstein you remember that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the guy looks at it and just kind of melts? It's like,
yeah,
and his face
when they open the ark. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this Feinstein lady, she's done. Like she needs medical care and needs to stop whatever this is. You're not rolling your way into work to just please stop. You're done. Same with Biden. He doesn't know where he's at, and that's actually the last story of the day. But yeah, they're saying maybe Feinstein could relinquish her seat and then find a way to get it to Michelle Obama. I know that they just bought a house, or not just, but they somewhat recently bought a home in California. I'm not sure if it's in the right region or how that works, but who are they going to come up with? Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama. It's RFK. They do not want anything to do with RFK, which is hilarious because he's the only one that has any energy, just like when Bernie had energy and then Hillary and the DNC sabotaged him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. But yeah, back to Joe Biden for the final story of the day here. Do you agree or disagree that the resident, Joe Biden, actually knows what year this even is?
I'm going to disagree. I think if you just caught him on the spot and he said, "Hey, Joe, what year is it?" It's going to be, I don't think it would be an automatic response. If it's not kind of pre-recorded or pre-rehearsed, or if it's not reading it off a teleprompter, he struggles. It's getting really bad, and they're trying to cover for him, but it's every week. There's new gaffes, new mistakes, new mumbles, bumbles, fumbles, stumbles.
They're calling him, instead of Joe Biden, they're calling him Slow Biden, according to Kenneth B. What is the latest? What's the latest fumble, stumble, bumble that brought this up today? Because I mean, we've said this is elder abuse. This is ridiculous. The video of Barack Obama talking about how it would be great to have another term, but you have a kind of a puppet. You have somebody, a little earpiece in, and you tell him what to say. I mean, Biden he's out to lunch, man. You know the thing, out to lunch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So he's got a few of them. Let's roll. There's a series of short clips here we can run. Let's check this one out.
I've toured many sites across the country that clearly show climate change is a genuine, is the existential threat to humanity. The existential threat to humanity.
Okay, well, those are some mumbles and stumbles. And then we've got another 17-second clip.
And maybe most important, I've committed that by 2020, we will have conserved 30% of all the lands and waters the United States has jurisdiction over, and simultaneously reduce emissions to blunt climate impact.
Okay, so he doesn't seem to know what year it is because he's already said by 2020. So here we go, another clip.
As a matter of fact, a couple of businesses are suing banks because they want to consider whether or not you're environmentally. Anyway, I won't get into all that. I'll get.
That's
get into all of what? He didn't even make his point. Yeah, I don't want to get it. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I saw where he was spelling something and he was way off on that. It's just he's out to lunch, man. This is not okay. There are Chinese military allegedly a lot of fighting age men with links to the CCP flooding across our southern border. It's dereliction of duty. I fully support Lauren Boebert's impeachment clause, and the Republicans need to act, and they need to act fast. No messing around. Make the vote. For the love of God, Thomas Massey, you better vote for that one too. Fine, I'm giving him grief. I know that's your boy, but
no, not my boy.
I'm in favor of instantly addressing this clear and present danger of the United States. This guy's out to lunch. He doesn't know what's going on. America is being invaded at the southern border. We have a million problems, and it's dereliction of duty. It's a willful chosen dereliction of duty, dare I say, Blake. So that's my take on it. And yeah, Biden's been out to lunch for a long time. So something's got to give. You know the thing. Something.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's a collection. These are all new, and it's every week. So how is he possibly going to do another 5 years of this stuff? Is what this is saying. So here's another one where he's going to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. Wow, that's ambitious.
Well, we're going to end, and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I can go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script.
Yeah, don't go off script.
Please don't go off script.
But okay, here's another one where he can never find out. As soon as he's done with the speech, he never knows where to go. He stumbled over the sandbag the other week, or he's trying to shake hands with people that aren't there, or he doesn't know which direction to go. Oh my God! It's Leslie Nielsen from The Naked Gun, and here's another one. Well, speaking of that, the first Naked Gun that was with Queen Elizabeth. So I mean, it's real life. It's happening now. So this is where he was on a speech on gun control in Connecticut and said, "God save the Queen." Like it's crazy. So it's like dementia. So let's watch this one.
All right. God save the Queen, man.
He's just gonna stand there frozen. Like, where do I go? More tripping. I mean, dude, this is Leslie Nielsen right here. Leslie Nielsen was in the Scary Movies. I can't remember which one where he was doing the president thing, but it's constant. So is he going to be able to? So they actually put him on a smaller staircase. So he used to go up the big staircase. You remember those? But then he would stumble. So now he's just got a little one. They had to reduce the size of the staircase, put him in another entrance, so he stops stumbling. That's how bad things are. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
This is like remember when Saturday Night Live got bad and it just wasn't funny? And I guess maybe it's always been that way to a certain degree. You had some superstars and some funny skits, but in general, it's been pretty bad for a long time. Maybe you liked Weekend Update.
10, 15 years, yeah.
Yeah, maybe even back further than that. But like, this feels like a really bad skit. Like we're in the middle of a bad skit with, even the laughs are just more painful than funny. It's just kind of like, are we done yet? Is this over? Are we ready for the next cast of characters? Are they going to get some fresh talent in here? Because I don't know. Just kind of reminds me of
Gavin Newsom, that
comedy routine.
Right. So I can see that push for Gavin Newsom. I think that's they must be talking about that, knowing that they can't. I mean, they would love to just have the Puppet Joe sign off on everything, but I mean, he's really falling apart, and the dementia is pretty obvious. So can they continue to play the Weekend at Bernie's for four years after he gets reelected? If he can get reelected, oh my God, 81 million votes, yeah.
Yeah, totally legitimate.
From his basement, and he's not going to campaign, and he's not going to debate, and they're going to start with South Carolina and skip Iowa and New Hampshire, try to give him a good lead, pulling out all the stops. But I think they'd just be better off going for Gavin.
This feels as legitimate as Arizona. Katie Hobbs won't debate, won't go out there and won't campaign. Oh yeah. Totally believable that you're going to win when you don't even play the game. It's like, if the Minnesota Vikings just don't take the field after halftime, I don't think they're going to win that game, Blake. That's your team, right? I don't see it, man. I don't see it. So we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, is it going to be RFK? I know you're pulling for him, and maybe it'll be Gavin. You and I both lived in California. We know Gavin Newsom very well. He's awful. It's replace one awful thing with another awful thing. I don't know that you really come out ahead, but that's no reason to slow down on the impeachment. Do that anyway. hey, if you could get Joe and Kamala out of there, then maybe you give McCarthy the presidency. I don't know. He's number 3 in line, right? What would it take to get rid of both of them? I don't know. But
Kamala
ineligible,
and they run the 25th Amendment, pull Joe, which they should, but then Kamala's not eligible. Then yeah, maybe it would go to McCarthy. I don't know, but would that be better? Probably, but I'm not saying at least be addition by subtraction. But
what was the not eligible part? What was that?
Kamala, I don't know if she's actually technically eligible
because
where she was born. I don't know if she would technically qualify, but they're saying that she wouldn't be. You couldn't be able to take her. I don't know. Without getting into the weeds, but without getting into her background, because I don't even take her seriously, and she's not even out there. They can't even put her out there because she's not a serious character. And all she does is laugh uncomfortably.
There's thoughts, there's conversation that she's drunk when she's out there half the time, which is why we get what we get when she's out there.
Yeah, she certainly acts like it because she's just out there, out to lunch, not knowing what's going on around her, and then she just has her constant nervous cackling. So she could absolutely be messed up. So it's sad that this is who we have running the executive branch. It's pretty insulting, but I'm sure our enemies around the world are loving it.
All right. Well, that concludes today's show. Blake, tell people where they can find you, sir.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter. And of course, the archive will be on for all the shows. We have the nextlevelnews.com. Check out that. And hopefully I'll get some highlights. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. But yeah, that's where best places to find me anyway.
Excellent. Well, check out
everybody.
Yes, indeed. Do that with Blake and check out the New American Media on Rumble, the New American Media on YouTube, at American_Media_ on Twitter, at TNAM Chat and TNAM, what is it, official on Telegram, on True Social, the New American Media on Spotify. Subscribe over there. The Agree to Disagree show. So signing out for everybody there in the TNAM universe. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Everybody.